Hello everyone. Welcome to our show, The Other Side with Fariha and Talat. Someone once said, music is the strongest form of magic. और हम अक्सर कहते हैं कि मौसीकी रूह की ग़िज़ा है. And Talat, if we look at our journey in Pakistan, I think we've produced some amazing musicians, singers, और हमारा जो variety है, the diversity of music that we have in Pakistan, from sort of pop, Alamgir, Nazia Hassan, to Qawwali, Geet, Ghazal, folk singing. So we've got the whole, even naate jo hamari hoti hain. So there's always this, a very lyrical tone to everything. So I think there's a lot about it. And I'm sure you've guessed it. It's all about music today. Before I hand it over, Talat, to you, I just wanted to share something that music actually, and we know that it has a direct impact on our mood. So, if you listen to happy song, you get happy and all puffed up. If you listen to sad song, you actually get depressed. And there have been numerous studies that now confirm that if you use sort of a more calming music, it helps release tension. It is good for memory. So there are several benefits, and that's why we know that it is also used during meditation. Mm-hmm. What about you, Talat? What are your thoughts on music?
God, where do I even start, Fariha? I have a very strong relationship with music. I'll tell you why. Because I remember, growing up in the early 70s in Karachi, my mother, I actually used to go with her to Radio Pakistan because she used to record voiceovers and she used to do jingles, and she had a beautiful voice, and she also recorded songs.
Voice.
Yes, she had a beautiful voice. She even, sang that Shahnaz Begum song, Soni Dharti, unhone wo bhi gaya tha. It was, my mother also sang that, and that came on radio as well. So music has always been a part of my life. Just like my mother always said, Talat, the day I can't sing is the day I'll die. People who are passionate about singing, passionate about music. So I've had a real relationship with music. And of course, I grew up in the era of, I loved Ghulam Ali and Shaukat Ali and Shahnaz Begum, Nayyara Noor, Tasawwur Khanam. Then you had the Alamgirs and the Benjamin sisters of those days, So the music also in those days really progressed. When you look at it, and you go back, you look from partition, so 1947 to about the 70s, music in Pakistan, and it was a huge thing. I remember growing up, there were like jazz clubs, there were nightclubs, there were like bands, there were music bands, soft rock bands, okay? There was a lot of this happening. And then obviously, Ziaul Haq happened, and then there was a complete cut to all music, all expression of art or music or drama and all of those things. But as, whenever there is suppression in any country for any kind of art, there's always a resistance and a movement. And you'll find, clubs like Karachi mein, there was the Tehreek-e-Niswan, and in Lahore, there were a few clubs, and there were people who rebelled against that, against this restriction, because there was only Qawwalis in those days that was allowed on TV as well. There were only Qawwalis allowed. And so, resisting that was Nazia and Zohaib Hassan, if you remember them as well. And then, obviously democracy happened, and the 80s and 90s, music changed. And then there was a show called, I think, Music 89 or something, which was produced by a very famous Shoaib Mansoor. And he was the one who introduced, rock and vital signs. And, he coined the term, the term Sufi rock. And of course, you've heard of the band Junoon. They have a huge relationship, and they're always the magical formula of Sufi rock and Junoon has been part of our lives for so many years now. So that's my, and of course, I did some RJing as well when I was in Pakistan.
RJing, yes.
Yes.
Retro.
So a show called City FM 89, and it was Retro 89 on City FM. So I've always been connected to music. It's my life. I love music, all kinds.
Yes, and I know, and you've got a great taste as well, Talat. I can vouch for it. But I was just going to say, so I grew up in Ziaul Haq's era, right? So Junoon, Vital Signs, they were the bands that sort of, we felt so so relatable and liberated. But another thing, Talat, I was thinking the music industry, I think it's probably one of the very few industries where there's a lot of diversity, women band, and even right now, there's always new music, different varieties. I think there's a lot of inclusion and diversity in music.
Yes, absolutely. Like most art forms, it never ever differentiates based on anything, so it's just an amazing expression of art, and music, of course, is right up there. So tell us a little bit about our show and our guest today, Fariha.
Yes, so it's Salman Ahmed, and he's currently teaching at City University. He's based in New York, but he was part of Junoon and actually originally Vital Signs also.
Yes, originally Vital Signs, original Rohail Hayat ke saath, and these guys, yeah, he was one of them, one of the Vital Signs.
And I know he was your the drama that you did. Salman was also.
Yes, absolutely. That's how I met Salman. He was in Ahat with me many years ago. So I haven't seen him in maybe 29 years or 30 years. That's a long time. But yes, he was Sania Saeed's. He plays Sania Saeed's husband in the drama Ahat. So was the only, I think, dabble into acting. Otherwise, he's a guitarist and a composer and a musician and more into music than drama.
Yeah. And he does a lot of social work. So he was, I think, the ambassador for HIV/AIDS, for South Asia. He also did a lot of work for, displaced children in Swat. So he's done a lot of work. He's written a book, I think, Rock and Roll, Jihad. So I think it's going to be very interesting. And right now he's teaching. So I think it's going to be very interesting to hear his music journey. And again, what does it take to be successful in that profession?
He was actually a doctor by profession. So he was actually,
yeah.
There's so many cases of this, and we keep talking about this, right? It's like, find your passion, because sometimes you think that you find yourself in, it's not something you're enjoying or loving. So he probably would have made a really bad doctor because he's made a great musician. Yeah. Okay, so fantastic, guys. So don't miss this one. This one's all about music. So don't miss it on the other side with Fariha and Talat.